Morning, Clay.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday to everybody, really Wednesday of game week. The last couple days have been great to get back on the grass. Actually, kids look fresh. It almost felt like a bye week with them coming back and had some fresh legs and moved around extremely well. We've got great news over the last 3 days. We have had five rounds of testing in the last 3 days, and glad to say that we've had all negative tests for our players, and so we're really trending in the right direction. I thank USC, thank our medical team here, as well as LA County Medical Health, for really guiding us through and being able to guide us through an adverse situation anytime that you have a positive test, and especially missing a game. And they've really guided us through, and we look like we're in a good spot, and good Lord willing, cross our fingers, we will continue to be as we continue to work to get prepared for Washington State. Our kids are looking forward to the opportunity. We know the significance of the game, of trying to go 1-0 this week, and how important it is for our season moving forward in the Pac-12 South Conference race. Every game is so critical right now in this abbreviated season. So with that, I'll take any questions that you have and shoot away.
Okay, we'll go to Adam Grossberg.
Clay, do the new CDC quarantine guidelines 10 days after exposure and 7 days with a negative test impact your players in quarantine?
At some point in time, it will come to us. Remember, that is issued by the federal government, then it has to go through state, then it has to go through local. So there is a time period. It will get to us at some point in time, hopefully sooner than later. But there's a filtering process that has to go. Believe me, I was as happy as anybody when I saw that. But they said, Coach, just realize there's a process to it, and it does have to go through that process. And so just like we've done this whole time, we're going to listen to our federal, state, and local guidelines, follow them to a T. And when it gets to us, that'll be a happy day. It's good to hear as we learn about this virus that things are changing. So I've been told at some point in time that will get to us. I don't have a window of when that's going to be, though, because it's got to go to state and then to county.
And any update on Raylan and EA?
Yeah, EA is still in concussion protocol. He is starting to feel better. I don't know if it will be this week, to be honest with you, but he is starting to feel a lot better. Visited with him yesterday, as well as our doctors. And then Raylan was actually moving around pretty well on the grass. That foot strain was a pretty significant one. It will be close for Raylan, in my opinion. I think we'll have to continue to monitor through the week, but he's actually working on the grass right now. EA is not.
All right, Ryan Young.
Clay, I know you're not going to mention names, but of your standard 5 starting offensive linemen, how many do you expect are available this week?
Obviously that's a competitive disadvantage going into that, just like last week, Ryan. I will say this: we are starting to garner players back. We got our first player back yesterday, and we will receive more players back as the week progresses towards game week. But we are starting to gain players back, and so that's a good sign. It's that we're doing things the right way. Our medical team has led us in the right direction, and hopefully that will garner enough to be a good football team on Sunday.
Just for clarity's sake, for the math, can you tell us when the contact tracing quarantine period started for some of the guys? What was the earliest date?
Yeah, I don't go into the medical information, Ryan. That's obviously you got HIPAA laws and everything like that. I can say that, obviously it started back at basically the Utah game for a lot of these kids on that trip back home. So we look forward to following exactly, believe me, we follow to the T Not to maybe a ball coach's liking, but you do exactly what the doctors say. If they say, coach, he could be out here, that's when they get out. So we're following it to a T. Obviously there's patience involved, but there's been patience in this whole circumstance. I mean, since March, we've had to be patient with everything that we do. And that's why I think that we've done such a great job, to be honest with you, in managing this thing all the way through to have these limited numbers. Since, you're talking about from July 6th all the way till now. It's just a miracle to be where the numbers that we're at, and the percentage of positives over the thousands and thousands and thousands of tests that we've done since July. It's amazing where we are, and it's a lot of credit due to our medical professionals and where they got us. So yeah, you have to have patience in this circumstance. I'd love to have them back today. Maybe the CDC with the new guidelines, you're saying, oh my gosh, yes, let's get them back today. But you're going to do what the doctors say. And when they tell us that we can have them back, then we got them back.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to Ryan Karchi.
Good morning, Clay. I know we've asked you a lot about the young offensive linemen throughout this season. Yeah. In the event that they are asked to step in, especially at a position that's so reliant on chemistry, how confident are you in that group that they could step in and in a pinch be able to, not falter too much?
Yeah, you know what I said earlier, Ryan, I think we mentioned it on Tuesday, and I think this is at all positions. I think our coaches have done an unbelievable job of training from the bottom up, and it's been so critical to pay even more focus on our seconds and thirds than our first. This was a veteran football team, and that offensive line was a veteran group. So the amount of reps that our twos and threes have gotten at all positions, I think, have helped us. You see the performance of Kenai last week coming in. You see the performance of a Maxell Williams and what he's done for us coming in and being a two and being able to share time, with Greg Johnson. It's always a good thing when your name isn't called and you think about the plays ITS is giving us. Coming off the bench, he's giving us 17 to 20 plays a game, and you never miss a beat. When he's in there, so it's just as critical to work with our twos as it is our ones, and they're getting equal number of reps through this whole thing, through this whole pandemic and this whole season, all training camp. We really poured as much time into them as we did our ones, because our ones were vets. Most of them have played. 9 of 11 defensive players were back. I think 8 of 11 on offense were back. So it really was a veteran group. So am I confident? Yeah, I'm confident in those guys. Anybody that walks in there, we put the investment in. I'm more excited. We were going to have to play some young players last week if the game went on, and I was excited for them, but they were excited, and I'll be honest with you, disappointed, and they were disappointed that they didn't get the opportunity because they prepared like starters, and they've done it again this week. And if they're called upon, I know they'll do their job.
Is there any more of a concern with a position like offensive line, though, just given that it is so reliant on chemistry and just having those reps next to each other?
Well, I think any time that you're protecting the most, in my opinion, the most valuable member of the team, which is the quarterback, and keeping him upright, always you would love chemistry. But the thing that has happened for us is those kids have mixed in with the ones, and had the opportunity to go with Keaton and be a part of it. So it doesn't matter who's called upon; they'll do their job. I've got utter faith. We've invested the time and the training into those opportunities. Now, when you get into a ball game as a young person, you always can tell. Like I've told you, you see their eyes. If it looks like practice eyes, then we're good. If they look like deer in the headlights, you're going, oh gosh, okay, come over here, buddy. Come talk to me for a little bit. We'll make it through this together. But we'll see how it goes when the lights come on.
We'll go back to Ryan Young.
With guys continuing to come back this week, are you planning to do more Saturday, the day before the game, than you normally would in practice?
Saturday is a big day for us, Ryan. I'll be honest with you. It's a day that we will review the entire game plan and probably put a little bit more emphasis, just being honest, on that day. It's usually about we go through a full meeting day, and usually it's about an hour's work. It could be a little bit longer than that this time around.
Okay, Keely.
Building off of that, I know you're just trying to make it to Washington State, but is there anything you have to do in advance to prepare for UCLA since you do lose a day?
Yeah, Keely, and you really think about it, it's amazing when you think about today's Thursday, right? And if you really think about it, you got the opportunity to play 3 games basically in the next 15 days. Because you really have a Sunday ball game, then a Saturday ball game, and then the conference championship on a Friday. So really, it's been about monitoring our kids and where they're going to be at over health-wise. This is going to be one of those situations that you're going to have to maybe pull back just a hair just to feel where they're at leg-wise, especially when you get into that third game. But also the preparation of having to double up. Usually, we go Tuesday, first and second down, Wednesday, third downs, Thursday, red zone. You're going to have to double up game plans on a Wednesday, basically, for third down and red zone and put more information and more built in. So it's a monitor of their bodies, of where they're at. 3 games in 15 days, and or 14 days. That's pretty good amount of time. Pretty good deal. And then just being able to get a game plan in. Usually in shortened periods of time, you try to keep it as simple as you can for the kids and allow them to play fast. You don't try to put in the other half of the Bible or the other half of the playbook on a short notice. It's things that you've really been good at probably in the first 4 games, and go do those things.
Ryan Karchi again.
Clay, the first 3 games you guys played, you didn't have really a full idea of what you were expecting, I guess, because they were new coordinators, new coaches, no tape. In this situation, it's a new coach, but you have a little bit of tape, and you've had an extra time over the past week. How different is the preparation from a game planning perspective for this game versus the other 3?
Yeah, it definitely, whether it was the Colorado game last week, Ryan, preparing for that and having 2 games, or Washington State this week, having 2 games, it helps you 2 ways. You know the schematics that you're going to see, but also, the personnel matchups. I think that's what's really important, because, when you talk about Washington State and being able to see Jaden live, and be able to see, wow, this is a kid that has elite arm strength, but also can create. That the importance of keeping him in the pocket is critical. You see McIntosh, who's really come in and done an unbelievable job for Max Borgi, and really 119 yards a game. You see what style of back he is you really haven't got a feel for him, and he's a bruising back, and it sounds like they're going to get Max back this week, so they got a 1-2 punch, and obviously we know what Max could do. 86 receptions last year, explosive runs. I mean, just an amazing athlete. So having him back provides issues and makes you maybe alter your game plan a little bit. You also get to see their slot receivers that I think are dynamic. I mean, both of them are averaging over 100 yards a game right now, 8 catches a game. So you get to see those personnel matchups specifically that help you game plan and maybe focus on, we've always, in each and every game, you try to take away a team's strength. Utah's strength was the run game. We identified that. And in this game, at least you've got some schematics and you have some personnel matchups that you can identify that you need to control.
Shotgun.
Hey, Clay, earlier this week, you said that you guys have worked with a plan with the medical professionals to keep the contact tracing guys in shape. What exactly does that look like? Do you put an exercise bike in their room, give them a Peloton or something? Or how do you kind of keep those guys in shape when they're in isolation?
Yeah, I'm not going to go into the specifics of the plan, but just like we did in the March time, when we were going through this. But we are allowed to provide strength equipment and things in their room and give them the opportunity to have strength equipment for those that have not tested positive. You know, the guys that are just in quarantine because of contact tracing, they're able to do that. And our medical professionals, again, we relied on them to say, hey, this is exactly what you can do. And we put that plan in place and we're executing it now. And so I think that we'll be better off for it when they do get back because they're just not sitting around. They get to get some activity.
And obviously, Los Angeles County, things are getting a little bit more strict with, what's being allowed and what the residents are allowed to do. How concerned are you with things being shut down? And are you guys kind of devising any contingency plans? Haven't seen what happened with Stanford and Santa Clara County?
Yeah, it's been a lot of discussion here, Shotgun, just being honest with you. We always hope for the best, but plan for the worst. And the one thing I've learned about this situation and being the head coach is you have to be able to adapt and change directions immediately. Don't get frustrated with a situation. They don't pay you to make excuses. They pay you to find answers. And I thank goodness for our administration because we know things may change. We're hoping that, our levels go down and we don't have to go to that shutdown. But if we do, then we'll find the next answer. At Stanford, I thought credit to David Shaw and the Stanford University for what they did for their football team of going up to Seattle and having a chance to practice and train and be able to get that game. I know they're going to Corvallis right after that to be able to get that game in. Universities or teams are adapting and doing what they must to be able to play the game we love. And so we're just taking it a day at a time, a test at a time, a practice at a time, and making the most out of the day. The one thing I've learned about this whole situation is live in the moment and do your focus on the moment. And then when things change, then be able to adapt and put your kids in the best place possible. And so if that comes down, I know Mike Bone and Brandon Sosna are working on contingency plans to allow us to finish a great season.
Ryan Young again.
Clay, you mentioned earlier this week that you guys did recruit Jaden DeLora. What do you recall from getting to know him a little bit? And are you surprised that he's doing it so early for them?
Yeah, we knew that Jaden had arm talent, and obviously in the system he was in Hawaii had a lot of reps, and you could see that arm talent live. The thing that I remember about Jaden and Seven, and even talking to Rolo, I said, "Man, you got a good." Talking to him through the week, I said, "Man, you got a good one." I said, I always took away that he's a winner. He's got that it factor that quarterbacks have that are leaders. And he said, "Coach, you hit it right on the head." I mean, just the guy's a winner. He's been a winner wherever he's been, whether it's high school, whether it's college. He has that confidence and that demeanor to lead a football team. He's got that quarterback intangibles, and we saw that in recruiting. It was easy to see his talent, his arm talent, but there's so much more that goes into being a quarterback, and those intangibles shine through. And it's neat to talk to Rolo and be able to hear that he's doing so well in college. I think a lot of the kid got a lot of respect for him, love his game, and love him as a person. He's going to have a successful college career. He's going to be a pain in the butt in our league is what he's going to be for a number of years.
I know in previous years and bye weeks, you've done some self-scouting. When you guys had extra time when the coaches were all at home or whatever, did you guys do any kind of specific self-scouting to look back on the first three games and study any element?
Yeah, we always do. You usually do it after every 3 games because majority of teams, Ryan, they usually, when you're breaking down opponents, you're looking at the last 3 to 4 games, to be honest with you. Sometimes it's hard to get all the information the entire season. You scan it for trick plays, you scan it, but you're truly focused on, okay, what are the personnel over the last 3 games? Who do they got? What have they been good at? How have they adapted? And you're truly focused on the recent games. So, we do look at ourselves. We do look at ourselves and what we have done good, but what are also our are our tendencies, in play calling in certain situations. What are we on 3rd and 1 to 3? What are we on 3rd and 4 to 6? What are we on 3rd and 7+? What are we in a certain personnel grouping? What are we run pass wise? What are we calling by formation? Are there certain tendencies that shine through? And I get a packet each and every week about that thick that the offense and defense puts together that we go through just to be able to say, okay, hey, this is what they're looking at. And this is what they're seeing. And I thought there was I thought there's some great subtle changes T.O. made last week. He's making some more this week. I think there's a couple things that Graham is doing that's similar philosophy, but a different look that we're doing this week. So those self-scout breakdowns do help a lot, and it's part of the game. It's a great question, right?
Antonio.
Clay, I know signing periods in 2 weeks, and you guys are recruiting several quarterbacks. Has what you looked for in that position evolved as the offense has changed over the past couple of years?
Antonio, I've always believed we've done a great job here of evaluating quarterbacks, and we've always been dynamic in the pass game. It's from 2001 on here, and even in my last 11 years, I think that we've done a good job of evaluating quarterbacks, and we've stuck to a plan that the system may change, but I think there's some things that always remain the same with quarterbacks. Just having played the position, coached the position in my college career. The first one is always intangibles. It's the number one thing to me is you have to know the wiring of a quarterback. Does he have captain characteristics? Does he have mental and physical toughness to deal with adversity and in the brightest lights? Does he have the discipline to be able to do it consistently? And is he the definition of what you want your program to be? Because he's the face of the program. So those intangibles are number one. And then there's some physical traits that we believe in, and that's decision-making, timing, and accuracy. Does a kid make decisive, timely decisions, get the ball out accurately? And decision-making, timing, and accuracy, does he get it out accurately? And then lastly is, for me, I've always believed that winners win. They lift their teams up as high as humanly possible for themselves. I watched Sam Darnold when he was a junior, San Clemente. He's hurt his junior year. They win 2 games. He comes back his senior year. They win the championship. Great quarterbacks produce winning football teams. I look at Keaton Slovis right now, and I think I said this the other day. Somebody told me he's like 10-1 as a starter in our league. Great quarterbacks produce and they lift their teams up. So that's what we've always focused on: intangibles, decision making, timing, accuracy, and do they produce and lift their football team up to win games?
Has it been difficult to pick up on those intangibles over Zoom and things like that?
The good thing about the world we live in right now, Antonio, quarterback decisions are made really pretty dang early, to be honest with you. It seems earlier and earlier. I remember JT Daniels. I think we knew him when he was in the 7th grade. It was coming to camp in the 8th. It starts so early. And so, there are some things that really jump out to you. Sometimes their senior year, that's probably the biggest advantage or disadvantage this time around. Some kids aren't playing, so you don't get their senior year, but others are, and you get to see some guys that grow their senior year. But the majority of the quarterback decisions, a lot of times they're made earlier, and they were made earlier prior to this season.
Take one final quick question from Ryan Karchi.
With Jaden at quarterback and with Rolo's system, what sort of stress does that put on a secondary that may be different than other systems you guys have gone up against?
Yeah, the one thing that holds true, there's two things that really stick out to me with Rolo right now. When you see it, he's committed to 10 personnel. He's committed to the 4 wide system and truly spread. So you're going to see 4 really good wideouts on the field, either in 2x2 or 3x1. You're not going to see a ton of formations. The one thing that I will give him immense credit for, because a lot of the spread teams is one of the reasons that I love Graham also, is to be able to have the discipline to be able to hand the ball off enough times to keep you honest. And that's what he's done in his time here. And I credit him, because all of a sudden you lose Max Borgi, and you're going to your second back and you put McIntosh in and you still keep that discipline. He's done a really nice job of running the ball between the tackles and then attacking every inch of grass vertically and horizontally. And so for us, this is probably the first game. Arizona may have been the most other spread team that we saw, but this is truly, hey, we're gonna spread you as wide and far as you can, and see if you can operate in space. And if you try to give us a box count inside, then we're going to hand it to a big back or a good back. And if you try to load the box, then we're going to spread you so far and wide that you're going to have individual matchups, and those kids are going to have to make plays. And he's stuck really disciplined to that in 2 games. I give him immense credit. They're scoring 33 points a game, and I give a lot of credit to, one, the system he's put in with that personnel. I thought it was a really good fit when they hired Rolo, because he's that style of system, but also his play calling has been really good in keeping things balanced.
Alrighty, Clay, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Just a couple announcements for the media. I've heard from most of you, but if you are planning to cover the UCLA game or hoping to cover the UCLA game, please give me your request. I'll submit that to the UCLA SID. I need to do that by today, so get that to me by noon today. No promises. They are, like us, very limited on their space at the Rose Bowl. And also we have men's basketball game today against UConn at 4. If you need the post-game Zoom press information, get a hold of Dave Tuttle. He can get that for you. So with that, Clay, thank you. Media, thanks for joining us. We hope to see you all on Sunday.
All righty, guys. See you Sunday. Fight on.